Hey guys, Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy, and this is my market recap for the week ending January the 11th. Week started off with the offer list from Packers, pretty much unchanged with the last few weeks. Still lots of selections offered, dominated again by offers of heavier weight steers of various selections, as well as some quite a few selections of wet blue hides. As far as asking prices, they were relatively unchanged with the past 2-3 weeks, and the only noticeable change other than that was the shipping time had moved out on a few selections from some of the Packers. As far as interest this week, it was a bit of a mixed bag to start the week. We had talked to some people who said they had some decent inquiries very early in the week, and then things kind of fizzled for them middle of the week, whereas other people said things started off slow. But the one thing we've been hearing quite a bit the last, say, second half of this week is that there were a number of bids coming in from tanners from several countries around the world. I want to point out, not everybody that had hides for sale is reporting they had more bids this week than last week. However, the substantial majority of people we talked to are all laying claims to having more bids to look at this week than last week. As far as the bids seen, there's still some of these buyers who are trying to, bid $5, $7, $10 under ask, which that wasn't getting anywhere this week at all. But the buyers that were coming in and bidding, say, a buck or two, maybe even $3 under the asking prices, they were getting counters back from Packers. And based on the conversations I've had, I think it's a very good chance that Packers easily sold their production this week, plus quantities. So probably the best week of sales Packers have seen in, say, the last 2 months, maybe even 3 months. So as far as prices, I would say prices initially were steady. There were reports of some selections trading $1 higher, even some as much as $2. But keep in context, those are off the lows that we saw towards the end of last year. So yes, they're higher, but remember I was telling you here the last 2 weeks there were Packers out there with special offers and sales being done very quietly. So I think these prices that they're talking about up money is sales that were made after these sales they didn't want me to know about so I could tell you all. So cowhides, I think cowhides had a decent week. From what I'm understanding is the last couple of weeks have allowed producers to get some hides sold. Offer lists this week were not nearly as populated, especially heavy native dairy cows were hard to find from any producer. Interest started out a little sluggish, but as the week progressed, interest picked up. Again, it doesn't pertain to everybody selling hides, because we've talked to a couple different larger producers who said, we actually had more bids last week, Ken, than this week. So bit of a mixed bag, but I think collectively as a group, producers had more bids. I think they rung some sales up. They were able to get a little bit better prices. Overall, I think that cow market is on much better ground, and people who are selling the cow hides have a much firmer posture, maybe even a little firmer than those people who are selling big Packer hides. As far as the knock this week, it came in at 626. That's a little bit light than I thought. I was thinking we'd see a number closer to 635, maybe 640. The reason for that is Packers margins have started to deteriorate a little bit. Instead of making, triple digits, now they're making a more historical type of margin, closer to $50. That harvest compares to last week at 520, which of course was reduced due to the New Year's holiday. Last year, for information purposes, the harvest was 612. So still higher than last year. Overall, we're down 7% versus a year ago early on, but remember, that number for last year includes 1 extra day. If we put 1 extra day in the kill, we would be ahead of last year. Taking a quick trip around the globe, checking with my friends in Europe. They don't report really much of a change to the market this week. They're still struggling with buyers who want to take prices down lower than where they want to trade them. I'm not hearing that they had this sudden rush of interest, but I would think that, considering the U.S. saw it, it's probably going to start trickling down to them. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Down in Brazil, I hear wet blue traded a few cents lower on TR1s. The fresh hides are hovering around maybe a reais, maybe 110 reais. So that, you know, they just continue to try to get out from underneath the large unsold product that they have. Reports from Australia overnight claim that they saw some better interest the second half of this week, like big packer hides in the United States as well as cow hides. So the reports were a little more positive coming from there. A lot of the meatworks are just firing back up from their long Christmas holidays. They shut down typically over Christmas and New Year's. So overall, a little better tone down there. So all that's good. Meanwhile, no USDA export report again. This is the third week in a row. Unfortunately, our government's at a stalemate over the shutdown, and until the shutdown is over, we are not going to see that report. So that's it for now, guys. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Check out my website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. I offer free 14-day, no obligation trials. Check it out, and until next week, we'll see you then.